Hi, in this video I'll show you how you can take your first trace with Codetrack. To start, go to the website and download the latest version. Codetrack does not need any installation. Just put the files in the directory of your choice and you're good to go. Do try to stay away from special folders like My Documents, your desktop, or network drives. Some processes, like IIS for instance, don't like to load assemblies from such folders. To start, just open Codetrack and select the type of application you want to profile. In this case, we'll just choose a simple process. Now you can select the application to trace. Codetrack will try to figure out the bitness and the .NET Framework version. If for some reason this is not correct, you can always adjust it here. If your process needs some startup arguments, you can also configure them right here. In this case, we'll just continue to the next step. Now you can choose what kind of profiling you want. For this demo, we'll just go for tracing. By using this filter, we make sure that we only trace methods from assemblies that are not located under the Windows directory. So all methods from the .NET Framework will be ignored. Now it's time to start profiling. Make sure the record button is enabled and then press play. Now your application is started, and in the graph you can already see some interesting metrics, like the number of method calls and the number of active managed threads. When you're done, you can press the stop button or just close your application. Codetrack will now process the data, and when it's done, you can start analyzing. Codetrack offers a few different views on the same data. To start with, you have the tree view, which shows you exactly how many times a certain method in a certain call stack was called and what the total duration of all these calls was. The methods are ordered by duration, so bottlenecks will be found at the top nodes of the tree. In the first view, this is shown for all threads separately. In the second one, all of these trees are combined into one big overview, which can be handy if you have different threads doing similar work. If a method is called in more than one call stack, you can navigate to the next ones using these arrows. You can also get an overview of all methods using the list view. Here the methods are grouped by their assembly, namespace, and class. Use the headers to sort the methods ascending or descending by the metric you are interested in. If you select a method in one view, this will also be reflected in the others. So if, for instance, I select this method in the list and I go back to the tree view, you see it has been selected. If you're looking for a particular method or class, you can just press Ctrl F and type its name. Then just click the item you want and it will be selected for you in your current view. So far, these views don't differ very much from other profilers. The interesting part is in the last view. This is the timeline view. It shows you all the method calls that occurred in a timeline. So at the left-hand side are the calls that are called first, and the more you go to the right, you'll find the calls that occur later in time. From top to bottom, you can see the call stacks. So this method here calls these ones, and so on. All the different threads are stacked upon each other, and you can see they are separated by a black line. The thread IDs are right here on the left. If your thread has been named, you can also see that here. If you want to quickly navigate to a certain thread, you can select it here. As you can see, this view enables you to go into incredible detail and look at every single method call. It also offers a clear view on the interaction between two threads. On the right-hand side, you can see all the assemblies, namespaces, classes, and methods. You can use this to navigate to a specific method. Below this assembly view, you have the helicopter view of your timeline. In this view, you can see where your current viewport is located. So if I zoom in on a particular time range, you see this blue box which shows you where you are. You can zoom in by holding the Ctrl key and using your scroll wheel. If you scroll up, you'll zoom in, and if you scroll down, you zoom out. The viewport will zoom in at the location of your mouse. If I now move the view, you see that the helicopter view is also updated. It also works the other way around. If I move the blue box, the view gets updated too. If you select a particular method, you can also see where this method has been called. All calls are marked with these little blue dots. If you click on one, this call is automatically brought into view. If you double-click, the method call also gets selected. To measure time, you can just drag a region in the timeline. If you right-click in the assembly view, you can mark a method with a color so you can easily find it back in the timeline. This color marking is also shown in the tree views. You can zoom back to the complete view by clicking this button right here. Codetrack also provides you with some extra metrics. You can see these by clicking the graph button. This will show you memory and CPU usage and the disk I/O of your process. It also shows you the sizes of the different heap generations. At the top of the timeline, you can also see the locations of all garbage collects. These are shown in orange, and all the exceptions that occurred are marked in red. If you hover over these marks, you get some more info, like the type of exception and the thread on which it happened. There's also an overview for the exceptions, which you can show by clicking this button. This dialog shows you all the exceptions, and you can group them in different ways, per class, per thread, or just a flat list. If you select an entry, you'll get some more details and the location where it occurred. You can immediately go to the location by clicking this link. If a thread was suspended, this is shown with the red hatch pattern. And if Codetrack was able to find out the reason of the suspension, this is also shown. In the bottom right corner, you can see all the properties of your current selection. If you enabled arguments for your profiling session, you'll also find the method arguments and the return value here. Also in the bottom right corner, you can see the code of the currently selected call. If you're only interested in particular threads, you can filter these out by clicking on this button. In this dialog, you can select the threads you want to keep, and also the order in which they appear. This can be handy if you need to analyze the interaction between two threads. You can see that this filter also affects all other views. Just like filtering out threads, you can also filter out time ranges. Just go to the timeline view and then select the ranges you want by dragging in the ticks header. You can select more than one range if you want, and you can still adjust the markers afterwards. To remove a marker, you can double-click it. If you double-click on the ticks header, you can also add another marker. Notice how the markers also generate guidelines below. Single-click in a range to select or deselect it. A selected range is marked with a blue header. When you're happy with your selection, you can rescope by clicking this button. Just like with the threads, this change is again reflected in all views. If you want to go back to the full time range, just deselect all ranges and press the button again. This concludes our very quick overview of Codetrack. For more information, please check the how-tos on getcodetrack.com. If you still have any questions or issues, don't hesitate to contact me. Also make sure to follow Codetrack on Twitter to get notified of new releases. And if you like it, please tell your fellow developers about Codetrack. Thanks for watching and happy profiling.